Stop it with the feeding for 2 at 2 weeks pregnant. Stop it. Hi guys, welcome to the palace. So today's video is going to be a question and answer. I have put questions on my Instagram. I did a poll. I got a lot of questions about being a mom, and I got a lot of questions like about regular normal life. So I split the questions up. These questions today will be about mommy life and everything that there is to be about being a mom. Your questions answered. If you want to see those answers, then keep on watching. I asked you guys to send me some questions, so let's get into it. The first question is, how is it being a mother, or how do you like being a mother? I think how is it being a mother is a better question, because people typically always say to me like, how do you like being a mother? And I explored like this type of thinking a lot when I was pregnant, and it's just like, why do we assume that everybody likes being a mother? Now, don't get me wrong, I love being a mother. So even when I was in high school, people would be like, you know, where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Truthfully, I can't tell you what I thought I wanted to be in high school. I know I wanted to be in a helping field. So teacher, social worker, something of that nature. But I didn't know exactly what. I know I love to help people, a counselor, something like that, a guidance counselor, something like that, or a therapist, something in that field. But I love being a mom. My little sister is 7. So, I mean, I'm not saying that it was right around the corner, but, and my niece is 8. So, when they were born, I was still in school, and I was like a little mommy to them. I had them all the time, both of them. And people would see me on the train, and old ladies would be like, those is both of your kids? And sometimes I would say yes, sometimes I would say no. So if they look stank, I would be like, yeah. And one time I was like, you know, I didn't feel like being stank, so I was like, no. And then the old lady was like, oh, good, because I was about to say, you wasn't about to say shit. What was you about to say? You wasn't going to say nothing. Because again, I've said that they was both my kids, because literally I would be on the train. So I would be carrying the stroller on the side with one baby in front of me. But those are my babies. Those are my first babies. I'm saying that to say they gave me practice. Somebody asked, what was your reaction when you found out that you were pregnant? Okay, so this could be TMI or whatever, but I mean, you asked. So when I found out that I was pregnant, I already knew. Yeah, I already knew. So my cycle is very like on timing, okay? My period tracker was spot on every time. The day that I say it's gonna come, the day I say it's gonna leave, everything. So I have been using my period tracker for some time now. I want to say maybe probably on point. It's been on point for 2 years at this point. So I know that it's accurate. So, hear my baby crying. My period tracker told me that I should have got my period when my period tracker said that my period was 2 days late, I already knew. Good. I already knew that I was. So I took the test on November 1st, and it was not a surprise. There was a check. There was a check mark, and I knew that I was pregnant. So I was feeling a bunch of things. Well, my child's father was moving to Atlanta the very next day. My whole life, I've always tried to be an example. I've always tried to be a role model. I've always tried to beat the odds, not be a statistic. So I really kind of felt defeated in that moment, because I was like, okay, Also, too, I had just started my job. When I went to go get it verified at the doctor's, I was already 4 weeks pregnant. So I was kind of scared to tell my job because my mom, the first thing my mom was like, don't tell him, don't tell him, don't tell him. Wait till you pass your probation, wait till you pass your probation. I'm like, if anything, I ended up telling them a little bit right before my 90 days because my assistant general manager, she was so cool. Like, I loved her so much. We became so close. Shout out to you, Jess. She knows. She was, telling me her own story about how right before she got the promotion, she found out that she was pregnant and she was scared for her own job. But, yeah, it worked out for me. And I decided to end up telling them because I was like, if I tell them, then they fire me. Now I know that they fired me because I was pregnant. And if anything, that's the case I don't want. So it was pretty much like that. But yeah, when I found out, I was also happy because, yeah, it took me obviously a little bit of time. But, and it took me time because for me, I'm like a super planner and like everything needs to be planned and accounted for and everything like that. So it took my my type of personality time to adjust to the unknowns of what having a baby would bring. But I knew that I was going to be good. I had my sisters, I had my mom. I knew that I was going to have support. I knew that I was strong enough mentally, physically to handle it. And like I said, I always wanted to be a mom. So it just more so, of course, I would have wished I waited till longer, but you know what you're doing. You know what could happen. And at the end of the day, I'd rather not risk having an abortion, anything like that. I'm not against people that do, but I would rather not risk it. And then when I actually want to have a baby, I'm not able to. So it was never an option for me not to keep my baby. Once I knew I was pregnant, I was keeping my baby. The next question somebody asked was, what was it like being pregnant? That was a very, very hard time in my life. I had a hectic school schedule. I was at work. So most of the times when I got to work at 3, I hadn't eaten anything all day. I've been up since 6 o'clock. I was pretty good about taking my prenatals and yeah, stuff like that. But pretty much every day that I went to work, I had school. Baby, I think it's done. I think it's done, baby. Lele, thank you. So, like, it was just a lot going on in my life. Like I said, my child's father was away, so it was just a lot of moving parts that, again, somebody like me that plans everything, it was trying to get adjusted to all these different changes. Somebody else asked what was the hardest thing about being pregnant for 9 months. I would definitely say cold cut sandwiches. Oh my gosh. And then also trying to eat healthy. Like, for somebody like me that's not healthy, when you say eat healthy, my thing is like a salad with mad chicken, bacon, jalapenos, drenched in sauce. So, and dressing. So, my idea of healthy was a salad that I couldn't really eat any salad dressings that I like because it had mayonnaise or it had raw eggs in it. So I couldn't have that. And I couldn't have cold cut sandwiches, which I didn't realize how much I liked until I couldn't have it, obviously. So I would say that was the hardest things. Also, to be real, another hard thing for me was having everybody in your business. Like, and I don't want to say it like that, but of course, you being pregnant, everybody feels like you want their opinion. Everyone is like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to not do this, you need to not do that. I did this, I didn't do that. I am not you. You are not me. Our bodies are not the same. Every pregnancy is different. And it was very hard for me. Even, again, it's people having their opinion. Everybody's going to have an opinion. But it was very hard for me. The way I am, I'll tell you how it is. I didn't ask. So it was very hard for me to just sit there and listen to everybody's unsolicited opinion about what they thought I should do and everything. This I think is another question, but keep in mind this is during COVID. So everything that everybody was telling me, like, oh, I've been through it, I this, I that. you were not pregnant during a global pandemic. So please, we are not the same. Thank you. So somebody asked me, what are misconceptions about being pregnant? People be dragging it, okay? When I tell you dragging it, I mean fucking dragging it. Like, literally, people find out they 2 weeks pregnant. They, oh my gosh, I'm so hungry. Stop it. Stop it with the feeding for 2 at 2 weeks pregnant. Stop it. And what I realized too, because my doctor, when you're pregnant, you're supposed to be taking in an extra, I want to say, it's like a couple of calories, like an extra 200 something calories. So you're not really feeding for 2. You're feeding a little bit more. So when you really calculate that, when you're eating for 2 or pregnant, all you're supposed to be eating extra is like an extra pair. That is what the calories for eating for 2 is. So that's a big misconception that everybody's like, oh, I'm eating for 2. I'm eating for 2. I never said that because, listen, I was already a little hefty, a little solid thing before I was pregnant. So I had a very, pro-black doctor, and she told me the real. Like, she really told me what everything really was and stuff like that. And literally, she told me, like, if you want to, go back to how you was or even better, try not to gain over 20 pounds. So, which I didn't, but so that, like I said, I'm just grateful for my doctor because she kept it real with me. And there's definitely a lot of misconceptions. Not to let go of my buckshots. Mwah. So somebody said, did you get a crib, a bassinet, and does your baby actually sleep in it? Okay, so I got both. I got a crib and a bassinet. And well, I still have a crib, but I got rid of my bassinet. So here's the thing. The bassinet, the baby did sleep in. When I first came home from the hospital, I got like a co-sleeping bassinet where you can put it to the level, next to your bed. So the baby's basically kind of like in the bed with you and right next to you, but in their own space. My baby slept in that. I don't even want to stay a month because, for one, I was breastfeeding and it was more convenient to have the baby next to me. But also, so the thing about the bassinet and the some cribs, co-sleeping, things like that, it's made for the baby not to suffocate. So it comes with a thin pad. For one, I feel like that wasn't comfortable enough for my baby. He mostly slept in this thing called a snuggle nest, which is basically like I guess a cheaper version of the DockATot, and grew out of that thing super fast. So I wouldn't even recommend buying that. But he did sleep in the bassinet for a little while. So if you have this space, I would say it's definitely worth it because you don't have to get up in the middle of the night. You won't have to keep getting up. If you have a crib, you can put the crib, like I have my crib next to my bed. I'm going to do a co-sleeping situation. So anybody that's pregnant or, have a smaller space, they could see any ideas about how to co-sleep with your baby. But I knew that I wanted my baby to be in his own space because that's the safest. And I heard so many stories, like I said, all these opinions and stories. So I heard so many stories about people saying, do not let that baby sleep in the bed with you. Do not let that baby sleep in the bed with you. That baby, oh, you buying a crib for no reason because that baby's not going to sleep in the crib. My baby does sleep in the crib. Till this day, he does sleep in his crib. Now, I will say, now that it's just me in my bed, that I definitely wanted my baby to sleep in a bed with me. So I'm not going to lie. If he does end up being one of those babies that don't want to go back to his crib, it's my fault because I wanted him close to me. But my baby does sleep in his crib. The crib has a toddler mattress in it, so it doesn't have those like little flat things. It's actually comfortable. I feel like that's why, because he has a crib at his father's house and he doesn't sleep in it. because the mattress is thinner, I guess. I'm not sure, but you can't really put too many fluffy things in it because it is a choking hazard, a suffocating hazard. But bottom line is, I have both. I recommend the crib. I've had the crib the same time I got the bassinet. I just didn't use it because I had a bassinet and I was breastfeeding. So in the middle of the night and stuff like that, it was easier. But my son still sleeps in his crib, and he's 5 months, about to be 6 months on Christmas Eve. Next question is, what is the hardest thing about mom life? So I would say there's a couple of hard things. I think the hardest thing for me was adjusting. With the type of person that I am, is just an adjustment. Like I said, it was an adjustment that I was willing to make, obviously, because I love my baby and I always wanted my baby. But it's an adjustment. So I'm just getting to the point now where I could use the bathroom without my baby. It's just getting to a point now where like he likes to be in his swing, and he's content with being in his swing, which I know doesn't last long because there's other people, you know, that I see that, you know, have babies around me, and I ask them questions and stuff like that, and you know, they say they can't go to the bathroom with their kids. Their kids start to learn how to crawl, learn how to follow them. I don't know if my son's gonna learn how to crawl anytime soon because he is very lazy. And I don't want to say that about my baby because, you know, your baby, he's perfect in your eyes. But no, I put my baby on tummy time and he is not with that. He knows, like, okay, we could play this if you want to, but I'm going to cry in a minute and you're going to pick me up. And so I try not to, but I don't like my baby crying. So I feel like that has to do a lot with how they grow up. And if they feel like they need to throw a tantrum to get what they want or to get their needs met, that can go into, you know, bad behavior. So it's definitely a balance. I'm with the balance. So I don't remember what the question was. The hardest thing. So the hardest thing, that goes into not having time for yourself anymore, which is no secret. Obviously, people say all the time, it's not about you anymore. It's not about you anymore. It's not about you anymore. And I think that I have to get away from that, because as much as people want to say, oh, it's not about you anymore, it's not about you anymore, it is, because a healthy and happy mommy makes for a healthy and happy baby. At the end of the day, if you're primarily with your child, then your happiness, time for yourself, does matter because of what I just said. A happy mommy, a happy, healthy, mentally healthy mommy makes for a happy baby. Your baby doesn't want to see you sad. Your baby doesn't want to see you crying. And my baby's too young, but I've been both. And I know that it's not healthy for my baby to see me like that. And for many reasons, for not just, you know, obvious reasons, but for many reasons. And I feel like the hardest thing for me was, my baby hasn't been like really, really sick, but there was a time when he was just waking up in the middle of the night crying, like screaming, and I took him to urgent care, pediatric urgent care, because my pediatrician said, you know, they're shook about COVID. They're like, you know, well, they have to clear him as healthy before I can bring him to his pediatrician. So I'm like, what do I need you for? Like, I could just cut out the middleman then, and anytime when something is wrong, if I have to go and make sure that he's okay for y'all to see him, then what's the point of y'all? But that's neither here nor there. But it turns out that he had, basically in adults, is acid reflux. So he was crying like that because of the acid in his stomach. And that was the hardest time for me. It was hard for me, for one, because my baby, well, I don't want to say I forced him, but I forced my baby to sleep through the night by 2 months. I was like strict on a schedule, trying to get him to sleep through the night, because 2 weeks after I gave birth, I was in school, and Again, I'm somebody that likes structure, order, everything. So it was very important for me to get him on schedule. I got him on that schedule. And so when he got sick, I knew automatically there was something wrong, because doctors would tell me like, oh, you know, he is a baby. He is. No, I know my child. I know my baby. And that is not normal for him. It's not normal for him to wake up in the middle of the night screaming. It's not normal. They're like, yeah, that's what babies do. That's not what my child does. And again, that's why I say it's typical. You call the doctor, you say, oh, well, my baby won't stop crying. They're going to say, well, that's what babies do. They cry. But again, that's why it's important to know your child, and you will know when something is out of the ordinary for your child. So that's pretty much what it was. He was, you know, crying. He wouldn't sleep through the night. And even with the medicine they gave him, like, it was iffy. And so that was the hardest thing, seeing my baby in pain, seeing my baby crying, and there was nothing I could do about it. There's nothing that, even with the medicine, even with taking him to, you know, urgent care, everything like that, he was still in pain. He was still crying, and there was nothing I could do about it. I knew that he was crying, and it's also in a sense of like, you know, they're trying to tell you what's wrong with them, but they can't speak. They can't say what's wrong with them. So like, that was just very, very hard for me. And I am a softie when it comes to him. Like, you know, I go hard for mine. So I was devastated. Like, you couldn't tell me that wasn't like the worst thing. But thank God it was not. And he is okay. And, you know, on a spectrum, there's plenty of other things that could have been wrong with him. So I'm grateful that that's what it was, and it's passed. Another hard thing I would say about, you know, about being a mom is when your child is not tired and you are. You're like, just go to sleep. Just go to sleep. Please, please. Them babies be up, okay? They be ready to play. And I think that's very hard, because when you're, you know, the sole caretaker of your child, you don't get a break. You don't get to be tired. You don't get to just fall asleep and let your baby do whatever while you sleeping. That is dangerous. So it's definitely hard being tired, because you know, you want to have, you know, you're cranky when you don't get no sleep. So it's like hard, because you don't want to lash out on your child. You don't want to do that. So for me, it's not hard, because I've had many jobs that I had to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, that I came from the club 4 o'clock in the morning, fucking came, showered, got my work stuff, and went straight to work without going to sleep from 5 in the morning till 3 in the afternoon, then going to school from 4 to 9 o'clock. Like, I've had a schedule. I've had times where I didn't know what sleep was. So when people were telling me, oh, get ready tonight, I was prepared. Okay, I've been many sleepless nights for many reasons. So I was prepared, and it's all a learning thing. You will learn with time what works for your child, what will, you know, put them down to bed, all of that kind of stuff. So it's definitely a lot of challenges to being a mom, but there's obviously rewards that are greater than those challenges. I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I never prime my skin. Someone asked, how has being a mom changed you as a person? So I kind of touched on this, but anybody that really knows me knows that I'm the farthest thing from selfish. Like, I'm too giving. I'm too willing to help anyone. And I feel like that's a big flaw of mine. That if I rock with you, I rock with you to a fault. Like, again, you are not for yourself. So times that, you know, you want to just sit and, you know, not do anything, and that's fine. We all have to give ourselves time, but it's kind of like your baby needs you, especially if you are, you know, in my situation. Like, of course you have help, you have support and things like that, but at the end of the day, when your baby's crying and won't go to sleep, when your back's against the wall, when, for me, I have school, I have work, and, you know, when the dust settles, it's you and that baby. So I feel like being a mom changed me in that I'm learning how to say no. I'm learning how to be a little selfish when it comes to me and my baby, because what I am selfish with about me has to do with my baby, protecting my space, my energy, my time. I have to be that way because, again, when the dust settles, I'm the one that take care of my child. So I have to make sure that I'm good to do that. I have to make sure that I'm not too tired to do that. I have to make sure that I'm not exhausted to do that. I have to make sure that other things are in line, laundry, cleaning my house, stuff like that, that I have enough time to do everything that I need to get done, because a mom's job is never done. That is, people be like, oh, for the next 18 years. No, for the rest of your life. That is your child for the rest of your life. Last question. Let me put my lashes on first. Okay. The last question somebody asked was, do I want more children? Oh my gosh. Short answer, yes. I'm begging my sisters, one of them, to have a kid, because I want Cam to have somebody he can play with. Um, Not only for that reason, I feel like also I've lost a sibling, and I feel like things like that, you definitely need a sibling to go through with you, and I think life is more rich with more kids. I can remember growing up around all my cousins with my sisters, and I was glad that I had my sisters growing up to go to for things when I felt like I couldn't go to my mom, even though my mom was that type of mom that even other people will go to my mom before going to their own parents. And there's just certain things you don't want to tell your mom. And I want to be the hot mom on the scene. Be like, oh, that's your mom? Yes, I'm his mama. But yeah, like, I do want more kids. I say within the next 5 years. Obviously, you know, it's all according to God's plan, what he wants for me, what he has planned for me. Um, I'm not going to make it seem like it's easy, because it isn't by any means. But like I said, I want Cam to grow up in this world with someone. I want him to have someone when I'm gone. And like I said, I enjoyed my siblings when I was younger, and I want him to have that experience. So short answer is yes, I do want more kids. No time soon. I'm not looking for nobody. I'm not looking for no kids. I'm not looking for none of it. Okay? None of it. I am focused on school. I have one more semester left in school and my career now. And of course, my little baby. Like, let me love my baby. Let me spend time with him. Let me get to know him. Let me, be with him and love him, love on him. And so that is it. Thank you guys so much for asking me questions. I will do polls to see what you guys want to see. Or you can leave it in the comments. Just let me know. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next one.